Halloween is coming. So I wanted to start talking about some scary stuff. And scary stuff is almost always about this at some level. It's almost always, all scary stories depend on to some degree on either reality being something other than we thought it was. So it's a shocking change in that direction, or it's about somebody sucking us into a false reality, like a crazy person sucking us into a false reality that is terrifying. And that absolute break with reality is what makes horror horror. That's what makes horror good, is that somebody is either crazy and imposing his reality on you through murder or some kind of mayhem, or the world turns out to be much worse than you think. And that is why transgenderism is one of the great sources of horror, because it's somebody telling you that his body is not who he is, and our bodies are who we are, and our relationship to our body is who he is. And this is why so many of the best horror movies in America are based on the murderer, Ed Gein. Ed Gein was a guy in the early part of the 20th century. He was in Wisconsin, who killed, when his mother died, he killed women, and he made trophies out of their bodies and body suits for him to wear because he wanted to feel closer to his mother. And obviously, this inspired a lot of horror movies. The most important one, probably, and one of the greatest horror movies ever made, being Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. And the thing that is about Psycho that is wonderful is that even though there's the famous shower scene in it, it's really not a blood-filled movie. It really is the horror and the sadness of this guy who is both himself and his mother, has both himself and his mother locked within him, so he doesn't know whether he is a man or a woman. And probably the eeriest scene, not the scariest scene, but the eeriest scene in Psycho is the scene where the woman overhears Norman Bates having an argument with his mother, who we later find out to be himself. And here's just that scene that we hear coming from the famous Psycho house.
No, I tell you, no. I won't have you bringing strange young girls in for supper. By candlelight, I suppose, in the cheap erotic fashion of young men with cheap erotic minds.
Mother, please.
And then what? After supper, music? Whispers?
Mother, she's just a stranger. She's hungry and it's raining out.
Mother, she's just a stranger. As if men don't desire strangers. As if... Oh, I refuse to speak of disgusting things because they disgust me. You understand, boy? Go on, go tell her she'll not be appeasing her ugly appetite with my food, or my son. Or do I have to tell her because you don't have the guts? Huh, boy? You have the guts, boy?
Shut up! Shut up!
That's a very eerie scene, and probably one of the most haunting scenes in the film. That's a psychological, an example of a psychological fact called the introject, where the people who raised you, who taught you how to live and how to see the world, become part of you. And if those people are crazy or they're violent, now you have this crazy, violent, horrible person inside you who is part of you. And that's all of our problems with our parents, right? One of the problems with our parents is the things that they do wrong become part of our guiding light, as well as the things that they do right. The other famous film, there's two other really great horror films that come from the Ed Gein murder. They're based on the Gein murder. Is, of course, Silence of the Lambs, based on the novel, which I think is better than the book, by Thomas Harris. But the book, of course, is just made marvelous by Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins. Great performances, and Hopkins' performance is just a classic American performance. But here's another aspect of transgenderism that is, of this kind of demented transgenderism that leads to horror, is that if you reduce sexuality to body outline, or if you reduce it to simply the way you feel, you have detached from reality in one direction or the other. In one direction, you have detached from reality because you're not relating to your body as it is. But in the other reaction, where you just think, oh, if I change my body, I will have changed my gender. That, of course, is dehumanizing, because we're not just the shape of our bodies. A woman is not just the shape of her body. It's the experience of growing up as a girl, knowing that you are capable of creating life, knowing that you are capable of giving a kind of love that a man can't give, knowing that you have going to have all kinds of pain. You're going to have period and cramps every month that are going to cause pain and all this. Knowing those things is part of what being a woman is. It's part of what being a woman is the entire time that you are a woman. But the guy, the killer, Buffalo Bill, in The Silence of the Lambs, doesn't understand that. And that's why here's this famous scene where he traps this woman and he's trying to soften up her body so he can turn her into a woman's suit for him to wear that he thinks will transform him into someone beautiful. And if you listen to it, he refers to her repeatedly as it, because she's just a body. She's just an object.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again. Yes, you will, precious. You will get the hose.
Okay. Mister, if you let me go, I won't press charges, I promise. See, my mom is a real important woman. I guess you already know that.
Now it places the lotion in the basket.
Please. I want to go home, please.
It places the lotion in the basket.
I want to see my mommy. Please, I want to see my... I want to see my...
Put the lotion in the basket!
It's a terrifying and brutal scene. And of course, it has that ultimate real thing that people who do not see the humanity of people are always super nice to animals. And you find that in abortion advocates who think that, it's all right to have an abortion 10 seconds before the child is born. They always are very big in saving animals because they cannot see the humanity in another person, because then they would have to face what they themselves are. And the final great movie, and I would say probably the scariest horror movie ever made, at least American horror movie, is also based on the Ed Gein murders, which is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm talking about the original one, 1974, by Tobe Hooper, I think he pronounces it, maybe Toby, but it's Tobe Hooper. And that is a terrifically terrifying film. And the break with reality there is really this horror. I'm not going to show any of it because it's all disgusting. It is a violent film, even though it's less violent than the title. The title sounds like it's going to be a lot more gory than it is, but it actually is gory. And there's a horrifying scene where this poor woman is forced to have a dinner with this family of lunatics, the family of murderous lunatics, and their body parts flying around. It's just like utterly disgusting. But what's so good about it is that the people in the family think it's just a family dinner. And how many of us have sat down with our family and it's all been everything's been kind of normal, but we sense these horrific, even violent tensions underneath the surface, that reality below reality, which is where I think all horror lies. If you like the content you're getting here, like it and subscribe, and you will get more